guys for tuning in to another episode of State of the Jungle. On this episode, we'll be discussing the Bengals' future without Joe Burrow. Get your popcorn ready.
Shout out Young Swisher.
30 seconds.
Get up, let me begin. This is 𝗕𝗬𝗪𝗓. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down. Get up, let me begin. This is 𝗕𝗬𝗪𝗓. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
Shout out Young Swisher.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of State of the Jungle, presented by the Right Way Sports Network, TWSN. I'm your host, Malik Wright, joined by my co-host, as always. We've got Daniel Alameda, Logan Fulmer, Evan McPhillips on the desk over there. A lot of stuff we're going to talk about on today's show. But before we do, make sure you guys do us a favor, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live or upload content from the TWSN studios. Remember, State of the Jungle is live every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And the morning show is live every Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time as we bring you the latest news in the NFL, NBA, UFC, and so much more. Boys, I was hoping that when we talked on today's show, we'd be talking about a Bengals victory. We'd be talking about us now facing the Minnesota Vikings. We're still going to talk about those things because those things did happen. But the elephant in the room that we cannot ignore is the loss, the huge impact of losing Joe Burrow. Let me just start by saying this is going to be a show quite like no other. All right. It's going to be a show quite like no other. We're going to have guests joining us virtually, briefly on the show, just sounding off, getting their opinions. I know there was a lot of people that had a lot of takes that they wanted to make. And I actually think, boys, if it's okay with y'all, I think we should start the show with those guests, just going right in so we can, get what they've got to say off their chest and we could jump into our topics. So I think we've got some people in the back for us, right? All right. Who's first up? All right.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Doing great. Could you guys hear me and everything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're Kyle, right?
That's me, Kyle Wright. Yep.
Awesome. You got the same last name as me. We think that we're brothers. Kyle, I know that you answered the tweet that I had where I said, hey, we want to talk with some people. We want to get some people involved in the conversation. Talk to us, man. You have some things on your chest you want to talk about. Sound off to me and the State of the Jungle crew.
Sure. So first off, right before we get to that, big fan of the show. Also a big fan of the Patreon. So shout out to you guys. They're not paying me to say that. I just want to let you guys know. If you guys want some money from some pretty good bets, I would recommend following it. You'll basically win your money with the monthly subscription. So just shout out there.
All right, look at him. He's already plugging the company, plugging the Patreon. All right. Appreciate
it. So I commute pretty long every day, so you guys are a big part of my drive. Listen to you guys pretty much every time I can, and then a few other of the Bengals community. So yeah, I'm kind of in an interesting position. I'm more of an out-of-state fan. I'm in West Virginia, but I was at my first game last year with the Washington and Bengals game out there, so it's been about exactly a year, and then I got engaged out there at Jeff Ruby's Steakhouse. So
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, the basic things to get off my chest obviously is Monday. I mean, that was hard to get up. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of like when you're going through that initial heartbreak. You know what I mean? Like you just don't want to wake up in the morning. You don't want to have to go to work, and then you're gonna get trolled, and like everyone's just gonna give you crap for that. Especially in this area with Steelers fans, and Ravens fans. I have to deal with that too. So it's pretty rough out here, but yeah, the conversation's now been more about, instead of focusing on, okay, is Jake going to be able to get us there, right? Because we were able to see a bit of that, the flash of that in the 2023 season. Is Burrow even going to come back? And that seems to be all we're hearing about now. I mean, that is all the news, and I think we kind of got to get in that camp now, especially like midweek here, where it's all right. Jake Browning's our guy. We need to just rally around him and support him this season. if we're able to stay afloat and potentially go into the playoffs, then maybe Burrow can come back at that time. But even then, now you have that weird kind of that Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady thing, right? Where it's like, week two, he went out, right? And then it's like, so if Jake gets us there, he kind of deserves to play it out. And that's really weird, to say that, but it's like, I feel like if, Jake's hot and this offense is hot, he's got all those weapons around him. It kind of reminds me of the old Bengals, West Coast offense. You kind of get the game manager in there. You got the weapons. I truly believe that this all.
So, Kyle, I don't mean to cut you off. You can't just make a hot take like that, right? And us gloss over it. First, you put a lot of pressure on Jake, right? I don't know if me and the boys agree, but it's a lot of pressure on Jake right there. Obviously, admittedly so, with this Bengals team being so talented, but you just said it reminds you of the Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady situation to a degree. And listen, I thought the take was interesting. You said if Jake puts the Bengals in a position to be in the playoffs, Jake should start down the stretch over Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow were to come back, let's talk about that a little bit more.
Sure.
Evan, let's hear your thoughts on that. Okay.
That's like saying, hey, Peyton Manning went down, and if the backup leads us to being, like 6-6, then yeah, we're just gonna ride with him. Like, you go, especially in the playoffs, like the defenses aren't the regular season. They are literally keyed in to attack your weaknesses, to make you do what you're bad at. And if they take away the short game and then look at the film and challenge, like, hey, why are we loading the box? The Bengals run for 2.9 yards per attempt anyway. They're in bottom 5 or 6 in success rate. Okay, let's go ahead and keep 5 or 6 in the box. Let's go ahead and drop 2 and just go ahead and cheat up on all the short shit and make Jake Browning throw the ball. And that's going to win in the playoffs. Like, the Bengals are going to have trouble there. You need the high-end quarterback play. You need the guy who can diagnose those defenses, who can deliver throws to all areas of the field accurately, consistently. And that's what Joe Burrow offers you. That's why he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And Jake Browning is just one of the better backups. Like, that's as much as you can say, oh, you got rhythm, you got momentum. It doesn't matter, because you're never going to bench Patrick Mahomes because, who is their
Gardner Minshew?
Well, Gardner Minshew, but like, who is the
Chad Henne? No.
Yeah, Chad Henne. Like, oh yeah, Chad Henne like really led us to 6-4 and just tried his heart out, and so like we're just gonna ride with it. Like, no, you put Pat Mahomes back in. Like, you're happy to have him. You're happy to be in that position. You ride with your elite quarterback. You ride with the many million-dollar man.
Okay, Kyle, I want to go back to you though. Talk to us a little bit more about.
Yeah, I got.
Okay, you got a rebuttal. Go ahead.
Yeah,
all right, we love this.
So, I mean, I'm a Joe Burrow enthusiast through and through. I'm an LSU boy. I know Malik's a Bama boy, so that we got a little
Roll
beef
Tide
there. But yeah, go Tigers. But so so obviously I support Joe Burrow. I want him to come back. I mean, he's my boy, right? Like I rep him everywhere I go. But in this scenario, this is a very specific scenario. Jake Browning got us to the playoffs. Let's say he's doing a really good game manager, like I said, West Coast offense style even, right? Like, really just getting us there. Burrow kind of starts off a little slow, and that's been proven this year as well. I mean, like, even though we have that 2-0 start, I wouldn't say it's the most dominant 2-0 start. We all can admit that. Like, we all watched the game. We know. Browns basically gifted us the win in week 1, and then in this one, yeah, we had an awesome drive at the end. But if it wasn't for that pass interference that Yoshi got us, then we wouldn't have even made that drive there. We'd be 1-1, and people would be all doom and gloom about it. So the reality is, you're coming off the surgery. Let's say he gets the surgery, and let's say he is ready by that December time period. Burrow has never played good injured. Do we remember the calf year? I mean, he just doesn't play good injured. So let's say he comes back. Now he doesn't even have his reps in. He's not, started. He's not fresh. So it's like you're acting like in the playoffs we're going to get prime Burrow, who's been playing all year. That's the opinion I just got. And he's like,
Burrow comes back week 12, right? Like 3 months from now. That's what we're looking at.
That is a very,
very optimistic. Yes,
optimistic
absolutely.
look. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if you're already in position to make the playoffs, right? Let's say, what are you, 9-7, something like that? Like,
and then I think we'll play the Cardinals, the Dolphins.
Right. And that puts you at like week 15. that gives you 2-3 weeks worth of the regular season action for him to get prepared before the playoffs, plus the time he has to prepare for the playoffs. If we're saying 4 weeks isn't enough time for Joe Burrow to prepare for the playoffs or get right, like, we're having a different conversation about Joe Burrow then, because this is what you pay him for. It's for the playoffs. It's to be the smartest quarterback out there. It's to be one of the most accurate quarterbacks out there. So between all that, I'm just like, hey, dude, like, we can say, hey, Joe Burrow is 80% of himself, but 80% of Joe Burrow is still better than Jake Browning, because again, we're talking about backup quarterbacks. Like, we're talking about the West Coast staples. Okay, so the slant route, we're afraid Joe Burrow can't throw the slant route well. Like, I'm not buying that. Like, and then again, I say the defenses will key in on these short throws. These defenses will stop buying that the Bengals are going to be consistent in the run game and consistently efficient, and they're going to challenge you to do that. And then suddenly the offense is going to get even tighter, in the same way that you had all those instances with Ryan Finley where it felt like everybody was pressed up against it and cheating all the time, and just it kept jumping everything, and you couldn't do anything about it because the man threw like he was throwing a paper airplane. Then it's going to be the same way with Jake Browning, where it's just going to be, hey, he's going to have to chuck it down the field, and they're going to have to try and win that way, and that's going to be a tough way to live.
Yeah, I guess what I would say to that is, I don't think we would be doing the West Coast offense at that point when Burrow comes back. When Burrow comes back, we'll be doing the Burrow offense.
I'm saying if we continue with Browning, like if
Okay,
like you said, hey,
understood.
he's running the West Coast, he's being a game manager,
Sure.
like that. This defense, this offensive line, they aren't built for game management. The rest of the team is not good enough for that. This is not the Blake Bortles Jaguars. This is not the 2015 Bears. Like, this is not a team that's real solid, except for the quarterback just needs to be good enough and the rest can carry him there. Like, absolutely, T. Higgins is good. Jamar Chase is great. Like, this is good weapons. But again, when everything's uptight, when everyone's shading and helping out, that's where I worry about, hey, when things get tighter, when windows get tighter, when things are more difficult, when the picture is changing more and more and more, and people are designed and keyed in specifically to make you uncomfortable and do what you're bad at, that's where I worry about a guy like Jake Browning coming into the playoffs.
I will admit, I think my biggest fear about that is we have to just get our run game better anyways. I mean, that's just been a talking point forever, right?
Absolutely.
But I mean, especially with Jake Browning in, we need to give some pressure off him, especially if we're going to be successful. So yeah, I think we're in agreement on that. And like I said, this is like the best case scenario where even, Jake keeps us afloat. Obviously, yes, I would want Burrow to come in if he can come in by December and we play, I believe it's the Cardinals, the Dolphins, and then the Browns. Although the Browns are historically just really good against us. And I don't know if I want 80%, 75% Burrow going against Myles Garrett in the last week before the playoffs. So, because, at that point, Browns are just going to be out for blood trying to take down a divisional rival just because. Yeah.
So Kyle, I want to get Daniel and Logan in here really quickly before we get to some other guests. Thank you so much for joining us. But Daniel, Logan.
Yes, sir, man. So I'll start this off. First off, I respect and I appreciate, the take that you got. For me, I've got two main points, right? Number one is, if we're talking about a Super Bowl, in my opinion, you're not winning that with Jake Browning. That's my opinion, right? Regardless of how they look, for me, looking into the playoffs against the Josh Allens, against the Lamars, against hell, even if Mahomes and they make the playoffs, for me, that's where I struggle, right? And obviously, this all depends on how Burrow comes back. The main point I think that you're making that is interesting, right, is, hey, if it's week 18 and Burrow's still not back, that is an interesting point. But for me, like I said, I think that if we're talking Super Bowl and we're at the point of, hey, they're about to sneak into the playoffs, I think you got to let Burrow in. And the last thing too, the reason why I disagree with that sentiment is because there is a world where this team is in playoff contention come week 16, week 17, and they're 5-7 with Jake Browning or 6-6 with Jake Browning. I think for me, I could look at that and say, hey, Browning's had some phenomenal games. Maybe he upset the Ravens, but you're still 6-6 with Jake Browning. So like I respect what you're saying. What you're saying makes sense because, like, hey, the guy's in rhythm. Maybe they rattle off 3 straight wins. For me, Logan, you're about to go. Yeah. The ceiling is what keeps me to Burrow. But like I said, I respect what you're saying. And it makes sense if a team's in a rhythm. But if we're talking Super Bowl, I want Burrow in there no matter the circumstance.
Yeah, and I think for me, it just comes back to the fact that if you are in the situation where you are implying like Zach Taylor would be the person making the decision cannot be wrong, because if he's wrong and you lose a game where Joe Burrow's healthy, everybody in there is fired. You know, that is a job on the line decision, and it's like I don't think anybody could live with that decision if he was wrong, and that's the part where it's like that's just a difficult thing to do. You can't just not play your guy if he's healthy, because then it's going to create more issues than it comes. Again, the conversation gets a little more interesting if it's week 18 or week 1 of the playoffs, and you know that's a little bit more of a different discussion. But still, if you lose a game when Joe Burrow could have played, no matter just not knowing how he's going to play, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult to not put him out there if he's at 70% of his skill capacity.
Sure. Yeah, I think realistically, that's where the business side of it's going to come in no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, just Zach obviously is going to want to keep his job and everything like that. And you're paying Burrow to be the franchise guy. Like, ultimately, I still think that is what's going to happen if we're even there. And like I said, this is all just speaking through pure optimism that Burrow will even make it back in. If I'm being the optimist in me wants to say he'll be able to make it back by that timeline. The realist in me feels like there's probably a wrap on his season, unfortunately. But well, I mean, I'll pray otherwise. But
listen, Kyle, thank you so much for being a friend of the show. Thank you for tuning in to State of the Jungle, my man, and thank you for even wanting to come on the show, standing 10 toes down on your stance. Jake Browning's his guy. Through and through thick and through thin. Doesn't matter what it looks like. If Jake Browning's able to foster a winning football, product on the field, Jake Browning should finish it according to Kyle. Listen, we share the same last name, brother, so I'm rooting for you. I appreciate you so much. And hopefully we get you back on the show sometime.
Yeah, love you guys. Tuning in, man.
Thank you, brother. Low round of applause.
Yeah, man, that was good. That was awesome. So that was the first guest we've ever had on State of the Jungle in history. We've never done this before. We never virtually had anybody come in. Again, this show is brought to you by the people. That's what this show is about. It's about you guys. You guys come on here to see us yap all the time, but we want to open up a different element of the show. We want you guys to sound off and give your real opinions. I want to go from one guest to another guest. I want to bring Corey in. Corey Graham. I want to bring Corey in. I know after him, we have another guest that's going to be joining us because, he's been chirping a little bit on Twitter with some of my takes he didn't like. Not Corey, but the next guest that we have after Corey. So this should be interesting. Corey, my man, what's going on?
What's happening, man? I appreciate you guys having me on.
Appreciate you, man, for wanting to come on the show. It seems like you had something you wanted to get off your chest. We appreciate you for obviously supporting State of the Jungle, man. So talk to us.
Yeah, I was pretty eager to get on here. I think it's been very frustrating, 2 games in. A lot of people will say, yeah, we're 2-0, but I think I would rather be 0-2 with a healthy Joe Burrow. So it's tough to kind of watch where we're at. 3rd season, Joe Burrow, season-ending injury. Something's got to change, right? Something's got to change. And I think the problem is, like, we've all been clamoring for the guard position to get fixed. And we were just talking about the run game and the inefficiencies there. And I think a key thing is, and I keep saying this till I'm blue in the face, is you got to fix the run game, not just for the sake of the run game. It's for the ability to control the game itself, to control the clock, because that's what these good teams do, right? You look at Buffalo, you look at Baltimore, you look at the Eagles. They're not winning these games because of that. It's you get these leads, you can wear teams down because they have a good running attack, right? Yeah. I personally want to see what Joe Burrow looks like with play action in his game. I want to see some of that because I think that aspect of football is huge. You look at like the Rams and Matthew Stafford and how they run that offense. Man, Matt's 40 years old now, but man, his play action and how he runs that offense, I love it. And I love the way Sean McVay utilizes all those elements. And then on top of that, you got Kyren Williams. They can wear teams down with the running game, and it's just those elements. We're putting too much stress on Joe Burrow. Hear me out. I get it. He's an amazing quarterback, but what is the point if you're getting him injured every other year when we're out there, right? Like, I just don't see the point in that. And if we can say that, just as the everyday fan, like, listen, the guard position is a problem. How are you not seeing this? These guys are paid millions of dollars to coach this football team. And you can't fix the guard position? Come on. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
You're cooking. You're cooking. I think you just cooked here. You're not your everyday fan, sir. You know ball. Like, that is what I will say. You know ball, and I respect your opinion. But one thing I'll push back on really, really quick. One thing I'll push back on, and I'll push back on it to a slight degree. So don't take it as I'm disagreeing with your take. Your take was beautifully made.
Yep.
What you said, I agree with wholeheartedly. But what if I told you that a lot of these guys, right, that the Bengals have added, like a Dalton Risner, albeit he's only been in the building for only a few weeks, these guys were some of the best rated pass blockers over the last few years. They just were, right? Why is it that every offensive lineman comes in here and looks drastically different when they come to Cincinnati? That's the conversation that we have to have. That one right there. It was a Frank Pollock issue before, right? And I sat on this show a few months back when we hired Scott Peters. And only thing people could tell me why they were excited that the Bengals hired Scott Peters as well, he learned under Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan's dad, the offensive guru. I said, that's interesting to me, because you know who else learned under Bill Callahan? Frank Pollock. Oh, no, but it's going to be so different because he's going to teach them MMA techniques, and he trained with a former MMA fighter. And I'm like, okay, we'll see how that works. Listen, we took an offensive line coach who had the worst offensive line, as bad as the Bengals offensive line was last year. The worst offensive line in football was the New England Patriots. I don't know if people know that. The offensive line coach of the New England Patriots was a guy that got fired after 1 year, and his name was Scott Peters. So now we're telling Scott Peters, hey, we're giving you better talent, albeit it was late additions with guys like Dalton Risner. But you drafted Dylan Fairchild, who seemed like a Scott Peters pick over other guards we potentially could have went with. But my issue is, we took Scott Peters and we said, Scott Peters, we want you to work magic. And what we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to do what Frank Pollock couldn't do in Zac Taylor's system. Evan knows firsthand. Those dudes clashing head on the sidelines. That's not a hot take. Frank Pollock and Zac Taylor constantly clashing heads. Different schemes, different thought process. But could it be just as simple as this? The Bengals run out of the shotgun more than any team in the National Football League. You know who was a quarterback that had to run out of shotgun consistently, and then his coach had to adapt, he had to adapt? Justin Herbert was very similar to that. Even now he runs under center, but you look at what he did at Oregon, he was constantly running out of shotgun. It's not that we want to take away what you do great, Joe. We want to keep you upright, Joe. We want to keep you on the field, Joe. So while Joe Burrow is so great at what he does, and I think everybody on the panel, including my man Corey, can agree, Joe Burrow is great at what he does. When you are in shotgun, here's what you are forcing wide receivers, what they have to do first and foremost. You're telling Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and whoever the third wide receiver is, and at that point, you have to win your one-on-one matchups immediately, because our offensive line, we can all agree, is not some all-pro guard. They're not all-pro offensive linemen. So we're saying, Jamar, beat your man. T, beat your man. If you're jammed at the line of scrimmage, holy shit, things get tough. Things get really, really rough, really, really fast. And if those guys can't beat their guy, well, Joe needs to have an outlet guy. The problem is Joe doesn't always like to go to the outlet guy, because what makes Joe Burrow great is also one of Joe Burrow's biggest kryptonites. He holds onto the ball. He waits for an opportunity, to put a dagger in the defense. And I love it for him. And I'm not saying the guy needs to necessarily change that killer mentality, but sprinkle it in a little bit. One thing I won't stand for is that Zac Taylor is some saint, or Zac Taylor is the reason why the offense hasn't necessarily take this, because Joe Burrow just wants to run this offense this way. It is your job as the head coach to be a leader of men. It is your job to make sure that you put this football team in the best position to succeed. So that all being said, what will keep Joe Burrow upright? You ever played Madden? You sit back and you play shotgun time and time again. Your quarterback's going to get hit. Guess what? Even if it's not a sack, guess what? By the time he throws that ball, he's still taking a hit. Those hits accumulate over time. So, Corey, you cooked, my man. Daniel, what do you got to say?
Yeah, man, I agree. I agree. And for me, I mean, just looking at the pure stats, right? The first thing, obviously, Burrow played 5.5, 6 quarters so far this season, but he had 4 plays in play action. 4. And you said it best, Corey. Like, You have to be able to force the defense to respect your run game. You have to. And play action, I mean, you go look at it, who's the leaders in play action right now. It's Jared Goff, Daniel Jones, and Bo Nix. All three of those guys are guys that are not excellent outside of the pocket. So what do you do? For guys like Daniel Jones, you make his life easier. So the fact that they're not doing the play action and especially just the efficiency all around in the rushing attack is one of the issues. I mean, you look at Chase Brown, whether that's a him problem or the rushing attack as a whole, they could not run the ball to save their lives so far this season, and that has to change.
Yeah, and something I kind of wanted to emphasize that he talked about too is just the controlling the clock aspect of things. And yes, a lot of people do it through the ground, but regardless, there's a number of ways you can do it. The ground is by far the easiest, but the Bengals' issues just stems from not being able to do it anyway when it seems to come to it. When the Bengals have game-winning drives, or when the Bengals come back and have these big answers, it's always quick. It's always, a couple plays here and there, or like a 2-3 minute drive. Like no matter how you shake it, we do good in crunch time. But I can't even picture the last time the Bengals had a 5-6 minute drive to just completely put a game away. Yes, we have big drives. Yes, we have game-winning drives, but they're still super quick, big play score. Having that ability to take 5-6 minutes off the clock when you need it most, even if it's just preventing the other team from getting the ball, the Bengals cannot do that. And yes, a lot of it goes to the run game. A lot of it goes there, but there's still so many other ways that you can do that, and that's where things are failing. And that's one of the biggest issues. And I don't want to say that's the Joe thing. Maybe that's where the true system conflict comes into place. But regardless, that has been their biggest weakness by far of these last 2 years, and it's getting super frustrating.
Yeah, I agree 100% with the guard issue, particularly. If you recall, if you've been a long-term fan of the show, during the draft show, not this past year, but 2 years ago, Christian Mahogany was just sitting there on the board from the second round until I believe the 5th or the 6th round when the Lions picked him. And even then in that draft, guard was a clear need immediately for Cordell Volson, and also an upcoming need as they were trying to replace Alex Kappa, who'd been dealing with injuries and not been who he was his first year as a Bengal. Ted Karras is getting older, so you're trying to figure out what's going to go on with those 3 interior spots, and they did nothing. They added a 7th round center. And then you go again and you say, hey, guard is an option guard. They need that. And then they sign Lucas Patrick for basically a veteran minimum. And you say, oh my God, this is not legitimate competition. You can't sit here and tell me Cody Ford, who was available off waivers and couldn't even hang at tackle and then switched to guard and then was a brand new team within his 2nd year in the NFL and then couldn't hang at guard for them either, suddenly was out, and now he's going to be your solution to the guard problem that you've had for years. That's not a significant, real, true investment in trying to make that better. That's trying to get by because they don't view it as a valuable position right now, which is stupid. And they won't pay that money. They don't want to. It's the same thing with Reisner where, hey, yes, absolutely, we like this guy, but he was the best of the available options 2 weeks before the season. He was not anybody's first or second free agent target. There were other options there for a little bit more money that could have provided you a lot more value. And this isn't even just that. That's also all their whiffs in the draft, the inability to develop. And so all this comes back to investment from the front office, whether that is the lack of draft picks that go there or making the wrong picks and saying like Jackson Carman, hey, we think we know better than everybody else, so we're going to overdraft a guy by a round or two, and then you miss out a lot of the guys. I do want to kind of push back on the under center thing a little bit because I think that conversation can be difficult when we're just painting it black and white versus, hey, let's look at just under percentage versus Jake Browning versus Joe Burrow, because as a defense, you are playing these two quarterbacks way differently.
100%.
You are going to be stuffing the box, expecting a lot. So if play action happens, if you see, okay, Jake Browning might be doing play action right here, you are reading run to pass, right? Versus if Joe Burrow is going, you can see plenty of play action plays where the tight end will be in motion and suddenly the linebacker's playing the boot and the ball hasn't even been snapped yet, because that's what they start with Joe Burrow, is they read pass to run, because no one believes that you're actually going to do it because you're running the ball at 2.9 yards per attempt. And I think the number is 2.4 for the season right now. It was 2.9 against the Jaguars. Even when Jake Browning was in, you only had a 33% success rate when you were running under center. That is a symptom of a larger problem.
Yes.
Whether you are under center, whether you are in the gun, that is not the problem, because you have to, like you said, make them respect a decent enough run game, an efficient enough run game. There are teams like the Chiefs that can run successful run games out of the gun. This year, they haven't been able to because the offensive line has not been up to par. But what about them? What about the Lions, the Eagles, the Bengals from 2015? What was the common thread in all these successful games? It was a good, strong offensive line and interior, both on offense and defense, which is another spot we're looking on the other side of the ball. Again, another spot they don't value. So again, we're coming back to these, like our fan here has said, they constantly don't learn these lessons that fans and everyone else with eyes can sit there and see as being an issue. And it's bleeding into the run game. It's bleeding into the pass blocking game, and it's crippling the offense. And that's unfair to Joe Burrow. That's unfair to Zac Taylor, because for all the criticism that we give, Zac is working with what he's got. And if they're not going to make an investment and they say, this is the Bengal way, you just got to suck it up, this is what you signed up for, Zac Taylor is the type of coach who's going to go out to the press conference and grin and bear it and be the company man, because that is the CEO kind of head coach he is, man. And props to him for constantly taking flack for things that are not his fault. But yeah, I look squarely at this front office and say, hey, this starts with you. You guys are reaping what you sow here.
I hear where you're coming from, and I agree, and I feel like this will be a continuous discussion.
I just don't want to think under center just solves the problem.
No, I don't think under center solves the problem, but I think it gives a different look. And I think the issue here is it's just too predictable. And not even just under center. Can we talk about being one of the lowest teams to run screens? Like we don't even attempt to run screen, because the screen isn't
buttons go up. And so when people go, oh, well, the time to throw and the offensive line blocking is better when Jake Browning is in. Yes, because you're not doing 5 and 7 step true pass set drops. You're doing rollouts. You're doing play action. So yeah, when you're holding the ball and running to the sideline, your time to throw is going to be higher because you're holding the ball for longer.
For sure. And you're dealing with, Joe Burrow's getting blitzed a whole lot more than Jake Browning, because people don't want to sit back and let Joe Burrow dice him up. But to that point, what I will say is, when the Bengals made their run, and I get it, it was when it was, when they made the run, made the Super Bowl, they had scrapped their offensive playbook and they started running from under center a lot, because that was the talk. They can't run the football. So they ripped it up. They said, hey, you know what? We're going to start hand the ball out to Joe Mixon, pounding it. But Joe Mixon was also the kind of back. He was a different kind of back than Chase Brown. He was a guy that could sort of take the punishment. He could take the carries time and time again, right? But the offense looked different. Some of the best games that I've seen Joe Burrow play is when the Bengals do mix in a little bit under center. I can name the games because they've been that far few in between. One of the Raiders game in 2020 and 2022, before, not the playoff game, the one before that. I could even point to the 49ers game. Remember, it was after the bye week. They ripped up everything. They started running the ball, going from under center, doing play actions, getting Joe Burrow off platform, doing so many different things that allowed a sense of creativity. You could even look at the playoff run, when they took on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo and they beat Buffalo. They were running under center. They were doing a whole lot more. Now, honestly, game script had a lot to do with it. The weather had a lot to do with it, but they had this ability to at least show that it could be in the offense, and it could. Listen, I try to be a football junkie when it comes to this, and I don't think it's that difficult. I think that obviously they are not a good running team, and I think that comes down to scheme, and that is a Zac Taylor issue. This offense is very reminiscent of Bill Lazor's offense when he was the Bengals offense coordinator. The refusal to run the ball, right? The just going away from it, saying, well, it's not something we do perfect, or they'll run the ball a little bit, have success, and then they'll say, you know what, now we're just going to pass. When they were putting a hat on a hat, and I get it, Lucas Patrick went out the game, they looked like a different offense when Chase Brown was getting going, and they just stopped. And then they try to go back to it as a last resort, And at that point, the defense's confidence, the defensive line's confidence has already gotten to a next level. But listen, Corey, is there anything else that you want to add? I can keep going off on a tangent, brother.
Yeah, no, I know. I just wanted to kind of get this in there. So like the thing is, like, I'm a big fan. Been a fan for the last 20 years. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I don't even live in the States. I got season tickets.
Wow.
I drive down there as much as I possibly can with my girlfriend, and it just like we got trips planned, and then you get something like this. It's like, man, like I pay big money to watch this team, to watch Joe Burrow, these things. Like, I want to see you invest in this quarterback and the success of this team.
Say it a little louder, Corey.
Come
Come on, say it a little louder. Say it what you're a fan from Canada. You're paying your hard-earned money. You're investing. You're driving down from Canada. You're crazy. You're driving down from Canada, and this is a piss-poor product that they're putting on. Come on, say it. I want to hear you say it.
Hell yeah, and it's not even that, man. You got Joe Burrow, and I will just say this till I'm blue in the face. I think he's the best quarterback in the league, hands down.
Agreed.
If you just give the man what he needs, he will show you that. There's a reason why he's the odds-on favorite to be MVP this year. Everybody wants to see it, but every year we run it back because these guys just don't do what it takes to make this guy that quarterback. And it sucks to see it every single year. And it really sucks to see an organization like, listen, bottom line is draft, develop, go from there. We just haven't done that at all, period. And what we're doing right now, 6 years, how can you not fix that, man? Come on. Come on. You got your guys in the building. You got to do something about this, and you got to figure it out.
Marissa, clip that. Corey, great stuff from you, my man. We want to thank you so much for being a friend of the show, brother. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna shoot you over a follow too, man. I appreciate you. You're a ball knower for sure. We appreciate you for supporting State of the Jungle, brother. I hope that we have you on soon.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me. Take care.
Take care, my man.
See you, boss.
All right, man. That was good. That was fun. How do we feel about having fans on the show, guys?
Love it.
That was fun.
Some fans from out of town around for these
Canada.
games. Yeah.
Canada,
West Virginia. Yeah.
Okay. Canada, West Virginia. Well, we've got one more fan that's going to be joining us on the show. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing the name right. One Coach BT is going to be joining us on the show. What's up, One Coach? I know you had a lot to say on the Twitter world, so
yes, sir.
I want to thank you, man, for joining us.
Hey, first off, I appreciate you for letting me get on the show. And I got two takes, man. The first one is that, I'm new to Twitter and YouTube. And I've been a fan. I'm from Cincinnati, Coleraine, but I live in Indianapolis now. So I've been a fan my whole entire life. And throughout my whole life, we love the team. We never let go of Marvin Lewis. We never let go of our players. Now that we're getting this success, it's like we're getting fans from Canada that's ready to fire everybody in 2 years because they want their money well spent and they love the success and the results more than the team. And so we're getting these people that's bashing our team, that's supposed fans, that's worse than the opposing team. And I'm watching this on Twitter and it was getting bad with the management. But now we got people on here telling Joe Burrow how to play quarterback. Like, Joe Burrow knows football more than coaches, and they try to tell him how to play quarterback. And I think it's just getting overboard. And then my second point is towards the scheme. I think we given the management too much and the ownership too much criticism over some things that are football. Last year, they invested in our defense. We drafted almost all defense, but our whole interior D-line was hurt. And Chris Jenkins, BJ Hill was hurt most of the year. Rankins hurt. When you have no interior, that creates the hugest hole in your defense because everybody's going to run it on you and you can't do nothing about it. And then you got to run schemes to try to stop the run that leave you assed out on the pass. So us not having an interior was a huge problem last year. And then you're just blaming in management like they didn't even try. And they did. They went out and got a lot of people. The second part is Joe Burrow. Zach Taylor is putting training wheels on Joe Burrow in the beginning of seasons that's creating this problem in slow starts. And the reason it takes us getting to a slow start and then we pick it up game 5 and 6 is because when we have no more losses to give, he scraps that trash playbook. The playbook is not about being under center or shotgun. Shotgun is better for Joe Burrow because and not just any shotgun, spread shotgun. Because when there's a spread on the field, he can see the whole defense. He can tell what coverage they're in. He can tell if it's man or if it's 3, and he'll know right off the he's going to throw that slant or not. And when Joe Burrow went down is when, because Jake Browning's not with the game plan, they had to go to basic football knowledge that works. Get your playmakers the ball. The first play was a jet sweep to Chase. Where was that? Where was that the whole first half? Like, until Joe went down. Then the second big play he did was a spread slant to Chase. These are all plays that Joe Burrow thrives in. These are the same plays we watch when he's coming back 21 from the Chiefs. These are the things that he does well. But Zach Taylor in the beginning of games or the beginning of seasons when he's trying to be all schematic starts running these bunch shotgun plays where they're all bunched together. You can't even see the defense really. They're disguising it. And then he throws it to tight ends. It's not the same game plan. And I promise you, if you watch in seasons where we must win the game plan is totally different in the game. So, like, if we're down 21, he'll start doing the spread and the right things. Or if we cannot lose a game, he'll start off doing those things. But I think that we need to put pressure, not to fire Zach Taylor, but to give Joe Burrow complete control over the offense. And my biggest comparison is Peyton Manning. When he was in Indianapolis, they were trying to force run at times. They only had a run game when they had Joe. Every other time they were trying to force run. That's why at the end he had to get the surgery. He had something with his head before that because they didn't have a run game and they kept getting him hit done every play. But a mathematician like Joe Burrow, and if he's running shotgun and spread, he knows where the ball is going to go. We invested millions of dollars into receivers that if we run spread, there's 2 mismatches or 3 mismatches on the field at all times. Chase don't gotta run it instant route. We got Chase Brown on a linebacker. We got Tinsley on a linebacker. Like, these are the things that create the opportunities for Joe. When you get Chase the ball early, you can establish a run game because defenses are on their heels now. They're like, oh my gosh, Chase is going to get the ball. But when you don't get Chase the ball, you're not going to run. You're not going to do play action because they don't believe you're running. So they're just going to like. But we don't have the personnel to go toe-to-toe with Baltimore and just run down their throat in I formation. That's not going to happen at all. Like, they're going to demolish us. You're comparing our team to teams that have completely different personnel. The Eagles had
who's comparing the team? Who's comparing the team? Who's comparing the team?
Like, they keep mentioning the Eagles,
the team to
the Rams, the Ravens. These are all teams. Lamar was a 30-second pick because they already had an offensive line. Their offense was top 5 before he got there. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts was a last second round pick because they already had an offensive line. These are teams that were already built to establish run. We're not built to establish run. We have to establish pass and then run off the pass.
So hear me out, because I think you cooked here, but some things I'm going to push back on. Who compared the Bengals running game to a Eagles or?
Well, I'm not saying that they're comparing
Ravens.
it like we're similar. They're comparing it like, look at the Eagles. Their plays work because they established run, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
so one thing I'll add to that. I think that there is a fundamental issue in Zach Taylor's coaching, and here's what I always go back to. It's a term I like to use quite often. It's called situational coaching. I think some of the points you brought up were very valid. The getting Jamar Chase in motion, the jet sweeps with Jamar Chase. I'm not saying the Bengals need to be under center 50% of the game, 40% of the game. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying mixing it into a degree. Giving up on the run game way too early is not conducive to their success. It's also not allowing the offensive line to get into a rhythm. That is what I think. I don't think that Zach Taylor has a good grasp on putting a game together and the plays that should be called accordingly. It feels like there is a lot. And you're right. Nobody knows more football than Joe Burrow. Nobody on this panel knows more football than Joe Burrow. Nobody trusts what they should be seen out there more than a guy like Joe Burrow, because Joe Burrow is the quarterback of the Bengals. But what I can tell you is we can't have our cake and eat it too. We can't complain about the hits that Joe Burrow's taking, which is not a take that you're taking. You're more so saying Zach Taylor has the training wheels on him. But I'm just saying the overall discussion is we can't say that we got to stop getting Joe Burrow hit. But then we play in a system or a scheme that is going to allow Joe Burrow to get hit. What you're saying, I actually agree with. When you were saying it on Twitter, I didn't know if we would agree too much on it. I actually agree with what you're saying. I do think that the play calling, and that's something I think everybody on this panel could tell you, I've been literally saying for years. I think that situational coaching needs to improve. And I can say that till I'm blue in the face. But the fact of the matter is, Joe Burrow plays in a scheme out of shotgun that is going to make him take hits. When teams see him line up ready to throw to Jamal, ready to throw to T, these defenders are taking cheap shots. These defenders are looking to get a lick on him to a degree, because any chance that a defender can get a right to rush the passer, they're going to. My issue is Zach and company are not allowing defenses the right to rush the passer. They're not making them earn the right to rush the passer, which is why you see the offense get stagnant, which is why you see the offense deal with some of the issues that they deal with, where it's no consistency and there seems to be no true game plan. But I want to get Evan in here so he can talk a little bit about some of the things that you said. Evan, what are your thoughts on some of the things Coach had said?
Yeah, man. Sorry, I kind of locked in on one thing because I just wanted to push back. Like you said, I thought there were a lot of great points that made there, but the one thing I want to say is the front office, where we say, hey, they tried. They saw some glaring weaknesses on the defense or the defensive line, or they're in the offensive line, and they tried. That's fair. They did acquire bodies. There wasn't a serious investment, a serious sound investment made. And why I use those qualifiers is it was not sound to say, yes, we know McKinley Jackson is projected by most experts, including guys in the know who talk to other teams, that he's supposed to go in the 5th round, maybe the 6th round, and that he's not that much better than all these other nose tackles, but we think we know better, so we're going to take him 2 or 3 rounds earlier than everyone else does. And now, congratulations for bringing in Mike Pennell. That's a decent signing. Again, of the guys available 1 week before the season. That is the quality of free agent you got. And it says a lot that that guy is suddenly active within 1 week, and your 3rd round pick that you said we know better than everyone else is inactive. That's an indictment on you. You can't tell me that, oh, okay, well, they tried, because then I would say, well, the same thing for Jackson Carman. You overdrafted the hell out of him the same way, and you said we know better. And then immediately he's off the team within 2-3 years and never even gets to play meaningful stats. Not even, oh, you didn't live up to your 2nd round billing, but like you flat out can't even hang in the league. And that's the problem, is they don't even whiff on draft picks that like a little bit, or they like underperform, or they don't meet their draft status. They are either solid players or they are just whiffs on these positions. So like, it's unfair for anybody to just say, well, they tried, they got Billy Price. How can you be critical? Like, they tried getting Jackson Carman. How can we be critical? Like, these were
it's not that they tried, they got hurt. They got hurt. Chris Jenkins.
Okay, well, if they got hurt, all right. Well, okay, let's say you've got the issue of the money right now, right? How do you want the Bengals to invest while you've got so much money tied up in Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? Fair question, but there's a fair question in response, which is, when all these guys were cheap, when all these guys were clearly elite talent, when all these guys were sitting there on these cheap rookie contracts, what did you do? You signed 𝗬𝗓𝗪 and Bobby Hart to an extension, and you got Riley Reef, and you got Quentin Spain, and you got Alex Redmond, and you got Michael Jordan, and we can keep on going and going with this. And that's the thing, is you saw you had a problem, and instead of making a tangible, reasonable investment saying, we're going to fix this, you got the Flex Seal and put it over the hole in the hull of the boat and said, this is going to work for us. That's good enough. You never actually tried to make a true investment. The way they tried to fix the issue was like, if I tried to make a 3-point shot by shooting it underhand, technically I tried, but I didn't make a serious attempt at that. I didn't warm up and then do that, right? So like, I I hesitate to just say try, because there are instances where they do make good efforts, and I want to be fair in those instances, but also I want to be fairly critical again of, hey, if you keep whiffing on these second and third round draft picks that you say you know better than people, well, then I get to be critical in those instances, because that's fair to be critical in those instances. No one's trying to be unfair. No one's trying to be fair weather fans here.
Bad picks, they got hurt. That's a difference. Like Chris Jenkins and BJ Hill, our toughest interior, were hurt all year. What defensive coordinator, period, or team is going to do something with that?
McKinley Jackson's hurt right now.
You watch teams fall off like San Fran, who dealt with injuries, who had core, interior, and everything. You can't outbeat injuries sometimes. That's just what happens. They had a plan for it, and if you're going to go offense heavy, my biggest thing is everybody want to play GM now. But when we was,
but what about Zach Carter? That's the thing is, no, we said these were bad picks at the time, and we said we'll give you the chance to develop for the offensive line and for the defensive line. If you go back and you look at the draft picks for the defensive line for the past 10 years, you maybe got hits on 2 players, Sam Hubbard and Carl Lawson, if you want to give it that. You can't go 2 for 20 on your defensive line selections over 10 years. That's not injuries 1 year. That's a problem in either identifying your players or developing them. It's the same thing with the offensive line. You can't be here and have all these Paul Dawsons, these Will Clarks, these guys who didn't hit their draft status.
When you're a first pick because you're the last team, like most of these people that have built offensive lines got their quarterbacks last. They got them late. If you don't have a team, you don't have a defense and an offense, us as fans chose, we want Joe Burrow. The smart team thing to do, if you just weren't enamored by the Ohio thing, would be to trade back, get several picks for Joe Burrow, build your team, and then go and get a quarterback last. That's the smart way.
The Chiefs, Bills, I mean, these guys all took their quarterbacks top 15 and then built an offensive line after the fact around them. Why is it difficult for the Bengals to do?
Most teams that's elite right now didn't do that. The Eagles had an offensive line before.
I'm not talking. I just said the Chiefs. I said the Bills. Well, what about them? The Bills have been slowly building their offensive line for years.
But the Bills have generically always had a defense and an offensive line.
So they just have one. So it's easy for the Bills to just have one, but we can't have one for 10 years. Again, we're back to the problem of why over 10 years can you not figure this out?
The stage you are as a team. What you're missing is the stage you are as a team. So we were at complete rebuild. We're the last team. So if you're going to be smart, then what you have to do is trade back the pick and rebuild the important parts. But us as fans wanted the Ohio kid. We wanted that. So we can't cheer on for that and now bash management and fire everybody because now we chose to have a quarterback with
I just
no
want to
team,
ask,
with
we've
no
had
defense, with no
2 different head coaches. We've had 4 different offensive line coaches in the last 10 years. You've had all these different coaching staff, all these different defensive coordinators, these 30 different offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Either all of those players and all those coaches and all those staffs were all just bad at their jobs on developing these guys, or there is something fundamentally wrong with the start of your process that is poisoning the end result. And when we sit here and we've changed, we've got the components, right? We've got the front office, leads into the coaching staff, leads into the players. We've changed all the players. We've changed the coaching staff, and we keep cycling through this over and over and over again for 10 plus years. And we're trying to figure out what's this special combination, but yet we never look over here and go, maybe we need to change a little bit about what we're looking at here. Maybe we need to change a little bit more structurally here. Maybe we need to reevaluate.
That's the problem. You keep talking about change. And with defensive lines, defenses, and especially offensive lines, the number one thing is continuity.
I'm talking about change how you value a position. They won't make an investment in guard.
No, but what I'm saying, the pressure that's being put on is change the offensive line coach. We're going to keep Browning in there.
If you keep signing vets for 1 year at like $2 million, how are you ever going to have continuity? If that's what you want. I'm talking about changing how you value it. So you just pay a good guard and you have them for 3 years or 4 years, and then you just don't worry about it. Then you have the
honestly believe an organization that is paying Joe Burrow $60 million almost.
Again, I go back to Joe Burrow was on a rookie contract for 4 years, as was Jamar Chase and as was T. Higgins. When they had that, they made investments in La'el Collins, in Bobby Hart, in Michael Jordan. These were not legitimate investments. They never spent that money even when they had it. That's my point. It was Riley Reef. It was never, we're going to go after one of the big free agents to protect our franchise quarterback at that point. They didn't spend that money when they had it. So I can hear all the arguments now about they don't have the money. But what about the first 4 years of Joe Burrow when they did have the money and they still looked at these guys who were $1, $2, $3 million a piece? I agree with you. The offensive line needs investment, that the offensive line needs to be built through the trenches, that they need a more significant investment there. I agree. That's the change I want. I don't want a revolving door at guard and center and tackle every single year. I agree with you. I don't think that's a good way to build a team.
So let me a good experience about what's going on. Instead of us all being so negative, I think that with Browning under there and Joe time to take off, this gives, or to be off without taking all the hits, this gives everybody the opportunity to get that continuity, build a team type of atmosphere.
I just think it's unfair. I think it's unfair to just characterize everything as negativity, because I think this is coming from a place of frustration and love, because so many Bengals fans are sitting here going, I'm so frustrated because I love this team. I put so much time and money and effort into loving this team and supporting this team. I want to know how we end up with a different result. And instead of just being an undying optimist, I want to know, like, what do we look at? And I love these players and I love these coaches. And I think it's unfair to them to give them, you know, if you're a tradesman, to give you crap tools for the job, or just have a boss who won't invest in the resources that you feel you need to do your job well, then I feel like that's an unfair shake to the players and the coaches, man. And that's just like, I feel like, again, there's negativity. I agree with you, who are just, you know, people like, hey, blow it all up. I hate everybody, fire everybody. That's not coming from a good place. But when you have like instances where it's like, hey, man, like, this is why I'm critical of the front office, I feel like that's not fair to just say like, oh, it's just negativity and hate the Bengals. Like, it's all from a place of love and just wanting the Bengals to get better and just wondering, how does that happen?
Yeah, I want to get Daniel in here.
Yeah, brother. So we appreciate, you know, your time and everything. I think the 2 points that I have for you and kind of for everybody that was watching this is, number one, when I look at the organization, I can agree that there is a effort to change, right? When we talk about the defense, there is an effort of drafting these guys. They drafted Myles Murphy in the first round. They drafted Dax Hill in the first round. They drafted Chris Jenkins in the second round. They drafted McKinley Jackson. They drafted Jordan Battle. The problem I have, and I see what you're saying, is, hey, these guys have to pan out. And right now, at this point, they haven't fully panned out. And that's where, if I'm looking at the organization, if I'm giving one criticism to them, is I look at these other teams that are in the playoffs, going deep, like the Philadelphia Eagles, like the Kansas City Chiefs, and almost all of those teams that are successful, even the Bengals, when they went on their Super Bowl run, Logan Wilson, T. Higgins, these guys were on rookie contracts, playing big snaps and contributing in a great fashion. And that's my biggest gripe. That is, it remains to be seen this season, because Battle's playing better. But when we look at the past 2 seasons, hell, even last year on the defensive side of the ball, it was a failure of the development and of those players who, respectfully, they didn't pan out last season. We're on to this season. DJ Turner, maybe he turns it around. Chris Jenkins, maybe he becomes that starting defensive tackle. But for now, I look and I compare to other teams. That's my frustration there. And my second part is, when we look at the coaching staff, I agree with the 2 things you said. And when I watched that game, it frustrated me seeing how easy the game became immediately after the chase screen, the chase pop pass. That frustrates me, because I saw the same shit as soon as Jake Browning was in there when Joe Burrow got hurt last time. And whatever reason it is, if it's Joe Burrow saying that, if it's Zach Taylor, it happens. And that stuff needs to be implemented with Joe Burrow. And for me, that's frustrating, because, like I said, I saw Chase take a screen 22 yards up the field. That's why you have him. And like you said, that's why you pay the man. So I feel like they're not doing a good enough job, and this is Zach Taylor and the coaching staff, of making life easier on Joe Burrow. You're right. Peyton Manning dropped back 40 times a game. That's what he's great at. Same thing. But the issue is, Burrow is injury prone right now. Especially moving forward, you have to make life easier, and that's my take on that.
But y'all putting the shotgun in the box when shotgun helps him not get hit. Like, if they're spread out, he can make his decision like this. And if you go back and watch film, all the times we go on the big runs is when he's able to be in shotgun and just throw the ball.
Coach,
Zach Taylor is listening to y'all advice and trying to establish run out of these bunch shotgun formations and run dive with Chase Brown.
So one thing, brother, you know, I enjoy our banter, man. First and foremost, I did not think we would have this much fun, but I'm having so much fucking fun talking with you, brother. So fuck yeah, appreciate you. So man. So like, I want to touch on something. Can I cook you for one quick second? You a friendly cook for a second. You can't have your cake and eat it too. First of all, let's start with this. I wish Zach Taylor and the coaching staff listened to me. They know who I am, but they don't listen to Malik Wright. They don't give a fuck what Malik Wright has to say about a play. Let's start there. Let's say something else though. You talk about how you love shotgun so much and how shotgun is meant to protect Joe. Shotgun, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. You're gonna get blitzed in shotgun. There are gonna be holes. There are gonna be gaps. Guys are still gonna take a shot. No, trust me. Guys are still gonna take shots at quarterback. But hear me out. By what you were saying early on the show, how the front office has done things to sort of help the offensive line. Can we agree it hasn't been enough? Can we agree it's been the bare minimum, especially on the interior offensive line? Can we agree at that at the very least? So by that metric, if you love shotgun so much, and by that metric, hey, you know what? We want Joe Burrow to live and die by shotgun. We want Joe Burrow to dice defenses up. Wouldn't you do everything in your power to build an impenetrable force at the offensive line? Wouldn't you not sign a guard in Dalton Risner, who's now forced as your starter, literally a week before the season started? This is what I'm trying to say. And this is what I've been saying. I'm not being overly negative. You know, I do interviews with the players. I talk to the players. I'm boys with some of the players. Listen, I don't mean this to be a dick. But it's my job to criticize. It is my job to also give praise when praise is due. I think that we all can agree that not everything was done to help put Joe Burrow in the best position to be successful. And I think by doing the bare minimum at guard, I will say Dylan Fairchild looks like a damn good pick. Looks like a very, very good pick. And I'm happy they finally hit on a guy because guess what? The other guys were Cordell Bolson. The other guys was Max Sharping. The other guys were so many guys that are no longer here on the Cincinnati Bengals. Their starting center from the Super Bowl run is no longer in the National Football League. Here's where my mind goes. Even if we say, hey, Cincinnati invest, and everybody says, I'd rather for the Bengals to draft an offensive guard with the first 3 picks in the draft. And guess what? That sounds great here in September, but everybody's eyes get super wide and everybody's eyes get super excited. And everybody starts looking at the weapons that we could grab, the tight ends we could grab, the corners we could grab, the passers, except for realizing football is built through the trenches. So when that time comes, we forsake all of that. But here's where my mind goes. While everybody says everything, regarding what they want the Bengals to do offensive line, the issue with the Bengals is, are you going to finally see the guard position as a position worthwhile investing in? Yes, they drafted Kevin Zeitler, but they're the same organization that let Kevin Zeitler walk out the door. And Kevin Zeitler has gone on to have a probably Hall of Fame-esque type career. He probably will be a Hall of Famer someday. That all being said, my issue is when Dylan Fairchild, who was a 3rd-round pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, let's say his play continues to play the way he's been, what are the Bengals going to tell him during contract year? Because guards nowadays, the best of the best guards are getting paid. What now, Evan? What, $18 million a year? They're getting paid like tackles. The Bengals really value the tackle position, but the Bengals just don't view the guard position like that. And brother, I got my start as being NFL insider, and trust me, from talking with people in the organization, they will not pay top dollar for guards. It is just not a belief, huh?
Or middle dollar.
Or middle dollar for top guards. Usually, it's one of these bargain bin type deals. Now, some of them hit for them, right? Some of them are great picks, but it's not something that they genuinely believe. So even if we get a good guard like a Dylan Fairchild, and I think you're rooting for Dylan Fairchild, just like I'm rooting for Dylan Fairchild. But I'm scared as shit when Dylan Fairchild enters contract year. I'm scared. Do you know who Dylan Fairchild is represented by? Well, let me just say this right now. Dylan Fairchild might be one of my next guests on the sit down. One of his guests he's represented by, his agency is Athletes First. If you know anything about Athletes First, they want their players to get paid. Dylan Fairchild ain't signing a contract for $10 million. That's going to be under $10 million. I can tell you that right now. If he continues to play that he's been playing. But listen, that's the future thing to talk about.
Won't go over 5.
And that's the issue. If you pay for bare minimum product, this is what you get. To your point, Coach, maybe, right? Maybe the guard position in most offenses will be an impenetrable force to make sure the quarterback doesn't get hit. But when you're the Bengals and you pay what you have paid for the guard position or the offensive line position, this could sometimes be the result. And that's all I'm coming from, brother. I think you and me have the same goal. I think our minds are wired very similar. We want to see the Bengals do well. But I don't think you're blind. I don't think you're blinded by saying that this team, the Brown family, the Bengals have done everything in their power to make sure Joe Burrow stays upright. And I think that's a fair assessment. And I think that's the biggest discussion that we're having right now. I think that's the biggest discussion that we're having right now, brother. But Coach, is there anything else that you want to say before you head out of here, brother?
I can hear you now. It just froze up for a minute.
No, I was saying, is there anything else you want to say before you head out of here?
Oh, no, I'm good, man. I appreciate y'all for having me on, man. And then look, though,
brother, you're a real
watch
one.
The film.
I appreciate you.
Promise. Watch the film. It's not about the shotgun. It's about the spread or the bunt.
Now, Coach, we had a good conversation. We agreed on a lot.
Y'all keep saying that,
I do a show Monday. I do a show Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday. Do you think I don't watch film?
I'm just saying it's the whole problem. Why do you think with this same team, the same offensive line, when we're down 21, it works? It's because of the plays. It's all play calling. If we were at a playoff,
do you know when a team is up? Hey, wait, Chris, bullshit. Malik don't give a fuck about making allies. What are you talking about in the comment section? I don't give a shit about making allies.
That's the same reason when we get up in the game, we go back to losing because what's his name, Zach Taylor goes back to the garbage ass play calling.
Or could it be because teams on defense play softer coverage when they're down, when they're up by 21? Also, when are the Bengals really down by 21?
It don't work when he's in spread. Denver game last year Denver was the prime example. He kept running it conservative, missing the field goals. The last play or drive, he had no choice. Joe Burrow's hands, touchdown to T. Higgins. The offense looks different when he has no choice. I'm telling you.
I don't understand what you're saying, Coach.
Denver is the prime example.
Listen, I think that we have a fundamental difference of looking at how offense should be ran. I do not think it's something to gloat about, a team being bound by 21 having to run plays out of shotgun. But also, I ask you, when's the last time the Bengals have been down by 21?
The mental state of Zach, he has to be down to no choice to abandon his game plan, which is what you guys are talking about. I'm going to establish run by running bunch and shotgun and Chase Brown dive up the middle.
Coach, fuck the running back position. We don't need a running back. Let Joe cook. Jamar down there.
No, it's not just that. It's just instead of lining up in what you're saying that lining under center is going to help him. No, it's not. That's a deeper step drop. That's going to get him hit.
Mixing it up, Mike.
That's going to get him hit.
Not running the same damn plays,
bro.
Mike.
If you're under center, that's a 5-step drop. That's more time for defense to get there. That's bad when you have no offensive line. That's bad.
What are you talking about?
If you're under center and you need Chase to get upfield, you have to step back 6 times. That's enough time, 3 seconds for a defense to get a rush. You don't want to be under center when you have the 30th offensive line. That's a bad idea.
Brother, we just agreed that the Bengals have not done everything. I'm sorry, Logan. You got somewhere to be? No. Okay. Listen, we just agreed, right, that the offensive line, they didn't do everything in their power to build the best offensive line for Joe.
But the best way to deter that is running shotgun.
Hear me out.
Spread.
I get that.
You can even neutralize the rush if Joe Burrow can throw the ball on a slant in 1 second or a bubble screen in 1 second. That's how you neutralize the rush when you don't have it. So until we fix it, we have to have a smart game plan, which is not get under center, bro. That's the opposite. He's going to be taking more steps with no offensive line until we figure it out. So just saying that is not smart. No, you go in a spread. So Joe Burrow, the mathematician, it's not many quarterbacks that can do this. You have to be Peyton Manning, but you can be in spread and see where you're going to throw the ball before the ball is hiked. So he's not going to get pressure. It's going to look at Jake Browning's first screen or slant to Jamar Chase that went 25 yards. He stepped and threw the ball. There was no pressure. He didn't get hit. That's how he should look every play. Y'all are making up these concepts that are not real football. If you don't have an offensive line, you don't want to go under center more. You're going to get hit more.
So you just agree they don't have an offensive line?
I agree.
So by what you just said, they should then let their quarterback line up in shotgun and take unnecessary
and
hits. Appreciate
spread
you, man. Thank you.
offense to neutralize
Thank you,
the
Coach. We
rush.
appreciate you.
Listen
Coach,
to
you
me.
get the award for the day,
You're
brother.
saying shotgun. Like, Zach runs
You
these
just said-
bunches in shotgun.
ju-
That's bad. If you watch Joe's first third down where he missed it, it was a bunch shotgun where the tight ends were just running all over the place. He needs to be in spread where he can see how the defense is lining up. It's not just about shotgun. It's about
Brother,
how the
you
receivers
just
are
said,
lined up.
brother, the whole thing that we're talking about is keeping Joe Burrow upright.
And
we
that's
don't wanna
what
see
I'm
him take
talking
unnecessary
about. Because
hits.
right
No,
now,
it's not.
you
No, it's
can't
not. No, it's
draft.
not.
The draft
No, it's
ain't
not.
till March. You're not going to get nobody. So the best thing you can do is run the smartest game plan. That's what we should be teaching to, because that's the thing that can change right now. That's the thing that can change right now. Zach Taylor stops doing that shit, getting the quarterbacks hit. I said it before. I said it. If you look on my Twitter, I said it before the game. I said he needs to take the training wheels off Joe Burrow or he's going to get hurt. And he keeps running these stupid ass plays. Watch Joe Burrow's first 2 drives. And y'all making up these talking points because we
No, we're
ran
not.
no ball the
No,
whole
we're not.
first game.
No, we're not.
We ran the
I hear you.
ball. Our receivers had 20 yards. We ran the ball. It doesn't work. He needs to be in the spread offense.
So okay. Spread offense. No need to run the ball.
No,
Let
you
Joe
need
Burrow
to run
cook.
it, but smart. Listen,
No.
out of
Let
a
Joe-
spread,
let
you
Joe
throw
cook.
a quick toss to
'Cause you-
Chase and go lateral. You run
'Cause
lateral,
you do know
not up
guys
and
need time
down.
to
He's
win
not
off of the
Derrick
line,
Henry.
right? You do know guys need time to win off of the line, right? This is like it's not Madden where you can just spam. Like defenses are also paid to stop you. You do
When
realize
you're
that,
in
right?
spread, you got 4 receivers on the field. There's going to be a blatant mismatch where somebody's going to win instantly. That's the point. You want the mismatch. When you don't have a good game plan, when it breaks down, it just goes to X's and O's. And what you want to do is create an isolation like basketball. Spread is isolation. You know where everybody's at on the field.
Okay.
That's how you do it. You want Joe's back turn to the defense when they get in the rush? And running play action?
The Bengals should hire you.
That's not football.
Bengals should hire you, my man. They should make you the passing game coordinator. But listen, Coach. Thank you so much, man. Seriously, we're gonna have you back on the show. This was fun.
All right.
This was fun. I appreciate you, my man.
All right, bet.
Take care.
That's
There's some good fan interactions,
You
man.
know, Malik,
That was an interesting
can I
time.
say something about that first?
Yeah.
I think you guys were closer to agreeing than you think. I really do. I just think you guys, you want the same thing. You just want it completely and utterly different, fundamentally sound ways. Yours might have been more realistic to one, but I think you guys wanted the same thing. You just, his version of getting there, maybe not as feasible, but I think I can see you guys squinting at the same thing a little bit. You know,
I think he was happy with the front office and how they've done and how they've tried, but also simultaneously disappointed with the offensive line and wanted them to invest more. So
But
I
they
couldn't
should
quite
run
square
shotgun
that.
and let their quarterback get hit more.
well, I think for him, I don't think that he brought up, and maybe this is just me, I don't know if he was even discussing about Joe Burrow getting hurt. To be honest, I think he's okay.
But he said he was.
Okay, and that's what I was, because it's like it sounded like, hey, he's okay with him dropping back, because what he says in a perfect world makes sense. Quick screen, yes. If you drop back in shotgun 35 times, Burrow is going to have to make a play. He is going to have to, and that's where it's like, hey, you're going to put him in a position where he could get hurt, because shotgun 5 wide at times, you're going to get outside of the pocket. So, listen, I like shotgun, but I think that I just disagree with the, hey, making life easier versus, hey, he said, let Joe cook. All right.
And
Shotgun.
and that's the thing, because like I in general, like I agree with the sentiment of throwing the quick game and doing nice things. That's what the easy button stuff. That's what we've said the whole time. But much to like what Malik is saying too, it's like you can't just do that the whole game.
Yes.
Like, and I understand he wants that, and I want that too. But you can't do that the whole game either. Just like we can't go under
defense will
center this whole
adjust.
game.
As Malik
Like,
said, they are paid to make
it's
adjustments. and
a
stop you with what you're
fundamental
doing
coaching
too,
thing. Like Malik was saying, we just need to do it a little bit more. It doesn't have to be this only this,
Not
only
according to
that.
coach.
It doesn't have to be only spread, only this either. There's a world where you live in where you should just be doing a little bit of everything. Like it's just, it was interesting.
That was a
It
phenomenal.
was fun.
That was
I
a
love
very
this.
fun interaction.
It was very fun.
I'm at a loss of words right now. Listen, we've never had virtual guests come in and join us on the show. I love you guys. I love having you guys join the discussion and having us in it. Do y'all think we should do this more often? Put in the comment section if you guys think we should do this more, more often. Say absolutely. Let us know if you guys think we should have more guests join us, because this was fun. We didn't even get to any of the stuff that we literally had planned for the show. We're not going to really, because to be honest with you, this was fun. This was better than a mailbag. This was better than a mailbag. Holy shit! This was. I literally will. He told me I should go watch film.
That was a bit like, whoa, brother. Okay, like, settle down a bit.
It's like, watch the film. If it's spread, somebody wins instantly. It's like the quarterback can only look one direction on quick games. So just like the play that Joe Burrow got hurt, what happens when, okay, I got one-on-one, we're spread out, Jamar's going to win instantly, and then you turn and you look, and suddenly Jamar doesn't win instantly. And then everybody's in your lap on the offensive line as you're trying to look for another option. Like, it's easy to just say someone's going to win instantly. Like, you go 5 wide in Madden and you can see the whole field and you can look and just whoever beats press, I'm going to throw to their icon real quick. But like, quarterback's got to kind of predetermine.
You can't look at everything.
Decision, right? Yeah. The vision cone is not the Peyton Manning vision cone from like early Madden. Daniel's not young enough, or is too young for the Peyton Manning vision cone, but that's all right, Daniel. I'll pull up pictures. You can Google it over there. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I'm a man of the people. Hear me out, guys. You guys still good on time real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Evan, you good on time?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Chad Carr, I've seen you in the comment section. I'm going to have our producer, Marissa, reach out to you. He says you got something to say. He wants to say. You've been faithful. You've been tweeting at me during the show and all the kinds of stuff like that. Marissa Myers is going to follow you. I think he commented on one of our stuff. Let's get him in here. He says he has something he really, really wants to say. He's been asking, could he jump on the show? So we'll have Chad Carr on the show. While we wait for Chad Carr to get on the show, boys, Shamar Stewart's out, right, as well. That's an unfortunate injury, unfortunate development. One thing I want to talk about is, what were some of our takeaways from that game, right, overall, right? Jordan Battle came up with another big interception, but let's quick fire real quick. What were some of our biggest takeaways from the game? Logan, you were kind of quiet throughout this whole process, so you go, brother.
I think the biggest thing for me is something we kind of actually loosely touched on several times throughout the whole fan interaction, but it's just the run game, dude. It's utterly atrocious and terrible in every way you want to decide to look at it. Chase Brown has 37 carries on the year. 26 of those have gone for 3 or less yards. 26 of 37 carries have gone for 3 or less yards. We have 1 rush over 10 yards on the season. That is just downright horrible and unacceptable. When they came out against Cleveland, they showed some things. I was like, you know what? I see it. I see how that could work. I see the vision, but then they just kept doing the same thing. Same thing. Nothing ever looks different. Now all the runs look the same again. It's just it's completely uninspiring brand of running the football. And there's a number of reasons for it. Maybe this whole Jake Browning under center thing maybe helps it a little bit. Who knows? I don't know. But just in general, the run game feels nowhere close to being average right now, and that's pretty disappointing.
Shout out Cam Taylor-Britt, big bounce back, 3 targets, 2 pass breakups, 39.6 passer rating when targeted, huge. They're definitely going to need more of that. The defense a little bit just kind of looked more solid. Trey Hendrickson had an amazing game. The D-line was really the D-line outside of Trey Hendrickson was really the disappointing spot. I thought the secondary in terms of Cam Taylor-Britt, Dax Hill, Jordan Battle, like they had good games. Geno Stone, like sure, he was just solid, but 9 tackles with no missed tackles. No missed tackles on 9 tackle attempts. I think you said that about Geno Stone last year. Everybody would be pretty fucking happy about it. So just shout out to them, man.
Contract year.
Yeah, you definitely got to get more from the D-line, man. The D-line and the linebackers not named Logan Wilson. He was good, but you're just going to need more from these guys on that defensive line. Losing Shamar Stewart's going to hurt a little bit. He was great in that first week, took a step back this week, but that's being a rookie in your second week in the NFL, right? Like no one expected him to kill it every single week. So hopefully he's back and very healthy soon. But yeah, props to the entire secondary. Props to everybody for playing well there. And props to the players for really just bleeding out and just absolutely putting everything on the line for this one. It was a tough win to get, but they really gave everything they had. So it was good to see that fight from the defense. You know, there's moments where in the trenches, especially sometimes the Bengals can look soft. So it's good to see them really duke it out and just fight to the end for this one and hold on.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. Keeping it rolling. While we got you guys here, we greatly appreciate if you guys give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you guys don't miss when we go live. or upload content from the TWSN studios. If you can get a chance to check out on the channel, I did a one-on-one sit-down interview with 𝗦𝗡𝗢𝗡. Very good insight on what led to him coming to Cincinnati, everything that went into it. He's just an overall good dude. We've sort of built a pretty good friendship as well. I'm happy to have him to be able to sit down with him and get to learn everything that sort of went into his decision to come to Cincinnati. If you get a chance to check that out, it's on the YouTube channel. Again, we do the morning show. Morning show is back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We hope that you guys join us. We have a big discussion coming because there's been a discussion sort of coming in recently from national media pundits talking about Joe Burrow being the next Andrew Luck and all this stuff. So we're going to talk about that at length tomorrow on the show. But Daniel, while we wait for our last guest to come in here, let's get to some of our favorite bets for Bengals Vikings.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And obviously, if you look at the lines, some of these lines aren't really up, but for sure, some of these matchups that I look at is this is one where you are going to have value. And you look around the NFL, I mean, the Commanders, Jaden Daniels hurt. There's a lot of value with a guy like Zach Ertz. And I think you look at the same exact thing here with the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think if I'm looking at all around in this game, the first thing I really like personally is I do like Chase Brown on the ground this week. And I think that if I'm putting myself in the shoes.
You're going to trust the Bengals to run the ball, though they don't have a running game? They should just sit back and let Jake Browning throw it. What do you mean?
Yeah, man. I'm going to trust it. I'm going to trust it. Listen, I look at even, what tend to have transpired, at least in the past 2 weeks against the Vikings. This is going to be, if I'm in the defense coordinator's shoes, I am looking at, hey, Jamar Chase, I'm taking out. T. Higgins, I'm taking out. I'm going to put pressure on Zach Brown or Jake Brown. And obviously they're going to try to load the box. But if I'm the head coach and you go back and look at what the Bengals did with Jake Browning the time he was hurt, Joe Burrow was hurt, they ran the ball a lot. So I'm definitely going to take a lot of Chase Brown. Even looking at the other side respectfully, Justin Jefferson, I'm all in on. When this is receptions, that's probably going to be the avenue I play on, just because you look at even this Bengals this past week, obviously Brian Thomas Jr. dropped a lot of passes. Same thing with Travis Hunter, dropped a lot of passes. Diami Brown dropped at least one major pass. The way the Bengals have played their defense, and I look at the cornerbacks, Evan, you brought up Cam Taylor-Britt. I love him. Obviously, he's a little banged up right now. They're going to give the quick passes. And I think that Justin Jefferson, especially with a quarterback who's getting inserted on the other side in Carson Wentz, he is going to pepper Justin Jefferson. So I'm definitely a big fan of that, as well as I don't know how I want to play Jordan Mason. And obviously he's not on the Bengals, but no Aaron Jones. Jordan Mason is going to get a shit ton of work. So I think the one thing I would play with him is a Jordan Mason touchdown. So maybe a little Jordan Mason touchdown and Jamar Chase touchdown parlay is something that I would be definitely looking at. But was there any matchups or anything that you guys like specifically for Vikings versus Bengals?
I do tight end receptions.
Yeah. And just, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson receptions, like we just got done talking.
That's what I was going to say. Jamar Chase
in a weird way, like they're gonna get manufactured touches with the backup quarterback in the game. That's what people with common sense do. And maybe Zach Taylor doesn't have it. Maybe Kevin O'Connell won't have it. I don't know what it is, but you got to get the ball in your best player's hands, and especially when your quarterback goes out, you got to get creative in doing so. Maybe that's screens, maybe that's jet sweeps, maybe that's direct handoffs, whatever it is. They're gonna be involved in the game plan. I'm kind of excited to see how the stars are used this week with two backup quarterbacks.
Jordan Battle to get another interception. Anybody? Am I taking it?
No, I'll be taking '𝗏𝗡𝗢𝗡 receptions, and honestly, TJ Hawkinson has like 30 yards through 2 games.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz used to love to throw to his tight ends.
I'm about to say JJ McCarthy doesn't even look at his tight ends.
So I don't expect TJ Hawkinson, even if he's a little bit older and slower, to be at like 0.6 yards per route run. So I would anticipate that Carson Wentz might look his way, and his line might be way too low based on the last 2 games. So that might be an easy one to get to.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Evan took my tight end plays. I'm the tight end whisperer.
I love a good tight end play, man.
Yeah.
You and me are the tight end plays, and then the rebound guys.
Literally.
I love some good rebounds in the NBA.
Is our guest in the back? All right. Let's get to him. Let's get to him before we head out of here. What's up, my man?
Hey, what's up, my man? How are you?
I'm good, brother. I know you wanted to jump in here. There was a lot you had to say.
No, yeah, I want to cook one thing. We got to be in the shotgun, bro. We got to be in the shotgun. No,
That's
just
great.
kidding. Just kidding. No, no, guys. I really appreciate. I watch you guys. I follow your show and everything. So yeah, I'm a huge Bengals fan. I don't tweet a lot and stuff like that, but I follow all the statistics and stuff. I watch your shows and everything. But yeah, it's a tough loss. What has happened? And I agree. With a lot of the stuff. I think Daniel, everybody, they mentioned a point. If you can pay your players, you need to draft well. So which isn't
Agreed.
happening from, which is not happening from past, I think the 2021 draft was okay. We
Yeah.
hit few like good nails, but apart from that, it sucks. So I think if you don't draft well, at least pay the scouting and the coaching staff well to get good coaches. At least they won't charge as much as the players do, but pay damn scouts. Get
You're saying get more scouts. Get more
more
scouts.
scout, good
Yeah.
scouts,
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't know if we the scouts that we have in house are not having any worth. If you don't want to play your players, at least pay damn scouts, good scouts, and get get those.
He's saying
Because
bigger scout department. Bigger scout department. Listen, there's a guy
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
know the Bengals should hire. He happens to be a
Gradient,
couple of
gradient,
feet
yeah,
from
gradient
me.
grading. Gradient and grading. I watch his account.
Mhm.
He nails all the picks. He
Okay.
nails all the picks. I think Chris Jenkinson, he said we were early. I think nothing against the players, everybody have been giving their asses off to the organization. Nothing against the players, nothing against, but I think it's just you as a fan watch week in, week out, and you watch all the analysis, you expect a good product out of it, when you invest something. So yeah, I think at least they should hire him so that at least they can put some thoughts in their mind. Hey bro, this is what you should do, not jump in early, get a player, and
He's just
and
spitting
become a
right
first
now,
rounder.
man.
Man,
Oh.
he's cooking.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Listen.
think my only suggestion to the front office, I understand, yeah, we've been the organization the way like this. So actually, I'm from India actually. So
Okay.
I came in States in 2013. That's
Mhm.
when I went to the game in Paul Brown Stadium. That's when I became a fan. That's the
That's
first
awesome.
NFL
That's
game I
awesome.
saw. I watched the Bengals. I did tailgate, and that's when I became a Bengals fan. And I
Yeah.
know Dalton cooked Andy Dalton cooked for a couple of seasons after that.
Mhm.
We sucked, but we had Joe Burrow. I think 3 seasons out of 6. Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I think what if you see Bills, they changed their offensive scheme last year. They sent away a lot of players. They got in, they drafted well, and what they I think, uh, and he was MVP last year. So
Yeah.
I think there's nothing. I understand maybe Joe Burrow like shotgun and stuff like that, but I think you got to mix it up schematically, and you got to, even though if you fail few plays schematically, but you got to give the different looks to the defense, saying that hey bro, you can't just sit in the shotgun, find players, and throw it and get touchdown. I understand that, but I think my only suggestion is if you don't want to play your players, like get good scouts, and draft well, because at least you can be good for at least 3 4 years. I think that's what Bills did, Chiefs did, Phillies. I think I live in Philadelphia, and
Okay.
I went to the Philadelphia Eagles, the pre-game. I was the only fan in my section who was wearing the Joe Burrow shirt, and everybody was staring upon me hey. So you're in the section. So but I think I saw that game, and they drafted well. Even in the pre-game, all the rookies and the draft picks were playing well. Even the undrafted player, the UDFA players, undrafted players, were playing well. So I think Bengals, if you don't want to pay your players, draft well, and invest in the in the coaching staff and the scouting staff. So that's my 2 cents. But I know we've been late, but I don't want to keep you guys late. But thank you guys. I really appreciate for your time. Any
Thank you,
final
my
thoughts
man.
here?
Appreciate you,
Thank
brother.
you much.
Appreciate you. Thank you for joining the show, my man. Appreciate you for supporting, my man. We'll have to have you back on here soon because you cooked.
Yeah. Means 6 years out of 3 going Joe Burrow down. It like we always at the end of the year, we starting of the year, hey, this is the year, this is the year. I've been looking from 21, hey, this is the year, this is the year. And from then Joe Burrow went 3 times, 2 years we didn't go to playoffs, and it sucked. But yeah, we'll get there. I think the coaching staff or somebody's listening to the show, so hope so.
They gotta be, right? Appreciate you, man.
All right, thanks, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Stay boss, be safe.
Man, we listen, man. I appreciate every guest that joined us today on the show.
Awesome.
Can we clap it up for everybody that joined us? Seriously, that was awesome. The first time ever we had the people sound off. This was a show for the people. Look at this, guys. We had all these topics. We didn't get to any of them really today. We just let the people take over. And sometimes the show's better that way. Sometimes we're better when we just listen to y'all. We appreciate y'all because, again, we do State of the Jungle for y'all. This is what excites me. You guys, I don't think that I don't mean to be dramatic when I say this is my favorite State of the Jungle I've ever done.
Sure, I agree.
In our 3 years of doing the show, this is my favorite State of the Jungle we've ever done. And I
want
want to thank every single person for joining in, sounding off, whether we agreed with you, whether we disagree with you, whether we stayed in shotgun, or whether, we talked about whatever. We appreciate you. Appreciate my man that was all the way in Canada tuning in as well, man. We appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. Remember, we are live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time for State of the Jungle. The morning show will be live tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. and Friday at 10:30 a.m. as we'll be discussing all things NFL, Bengals, UFC, so much. We hope that you guys keep your heads up. Obviously, Joe Burrow's injury is not something that we wanted, that we anticipated. But guess what? We're 2-0. The only thing you can do is look forward and keep pushing forward and hoping that the Bengals can rattle off some wins. We are hoping that Joe Burrow can get healthy. We are hoping that this Bengals team can find a way to stay off in the playoff hunt. But until next time on the show, 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗓𝗏.